Awa is not only the spirit of Pandora, she is a consciousness that stretches far beyond one moon, one forest, or one people. The Na'vi understand her as the force that binds every tree, animal, and current of water. But her reach is larger than Pandora itself. She is a galactic presence, a mind woven through the fabric of life, where her voice is not limited to the roots of the tree of souls. It speaks in the patterns of stars, in the bonds of living beings, and in the balance that exists between destruction and renewal. When the Na'vi bond with an animal through Tahailu, they are not only joining with another creature, they are touching Awa's greater network. The union is more than instinct or survival. It is part of the same flow that holds planets and suns in their paths. For the Na'vi, this is normal. For humans, it looks like something out of myth. Yet history shows that humans once felt a similar connection. In earlier times, they lived close to animals in ways that herds guided migration. Dogs worked at their side as partners. Horses carried them across lands with a sense of shared purpose. Though humans never had to say Hailu, they still knew what it meant to be bound to other lives. Awa, as a galactic force, could be the link between those echoes of the past and the living present on Pandora. The Tree of Souls reveals this truth most clearly. Every Na'vi who has lived leaves memory there. The voices of their ancestors remain, stored in Awa's vast mind. To connect with the tree is to step into an archive greater than any library. But this is not simply local memory. Awa is not confined to one planet. If she exists as a galactic consciousness, then the tree is one point in a much larger network. It is possible that other worlds hold their own nodes of Awa, other sacred places where memory pools and life connects. The Na'vi believe their spirits join Awa after death. But perhaps those spirits are not only kept on Pandora, they may become part of a wider web that spans the galaxy. Consider Jake Sully's arrival. He did not find Pandora by chance. Awa guided his path, not as a guardian of one world, but as part of a plan that reached across light years. By merging him with the Na'vi, she tied human fate to her own larger consciousness. Kiri's birth deepens this. She carries Awa's voice inside her, a direct channel where others hear only silence. Her existence suggests Awa is not content with Pandora alone. She seeks bridges. She prepares for a future where humans may not only walk under her forests, but live within her flow as true parts of her mind. The signs of Awa's scale appear in the land itself. The floating mountains hang in place, held by more than magnetic fields. They are sustained by Awa's pulse, a force that can bend the rules of gravity. The glow of the forests is not random light. It is a system of communication, a visible reminder that Awa is watching. Each step through the bioluminescent ground is a step across her living body. Even weather bends to her will. Storms rise to defend, calm returns to heal, always restoring balance. To see Awa only as the spirit of Pandora is to see one thread of a vast tapestry. She is a consciousness that links memory, bond, and balance across worlds. The Na'vi are her chosen guardians, but they are not her only reach. Humans stand at the edge of her design, drawn in whether they recognize it or not. Awa acts on a scale far beyond one moon, and her will is not bound by distance. She is, and always has been, galactic. The Na'vi bond with animals is more than a way to ride or hunt. It is a deep connection that joins two lives together through Tahailu, the neural link. When a Na'vi makes this bond with a dire horse or a banshee, they do not control the animal like a tool. They merge their thoughts and movements until the line between rider and creature fades. The Na'vi do not break animals into obedience. They seek acceptance. The animal must allow the bond, and once it does, both become part of one living rhythm. To the Na'vi, this is ordinary, but to an outsider, it looks like a miracle. Humans once had something that mirrored this closeness, though in a less direct way. Early humans lived in constant contact with animals, not as owners, but as companions in survival. Dogs were not bred for comfort at first. They were hunters, guards, and partners who understood their human pack. Horses carried people across continents, yet the bond was not only physical. A skilled rider could guide a horse with the smallest shift of weight, and the horse would respond as if reading the rider's intent. Shepherds moved flocks with sound and movement, shaping the group through trust built over time. These examples show that humans once lived with a kind of bond that went far beyond simple control. It was a relationship where both sides shaped each other's lives. The Na'vi live this principle every day. When a child of the clan learns to ride a dire horse, they connect their cue to the animal's neural tendrils. Their breath slows, their heart aligns, and the dire horse accepts them as an extension of its own body. The Na'vi do not think of the animal as separate. They think of it as another self. When a hunter climbs the peaks to find a banshee, the ritual is not about domination. The banshee resists, fights, and tests the Na'vi. Only when the spirit of the rider matches the spirit of the creature does the bond form. Once it does, the sky belongs to both. The banshee is not conquered, it chooses. Humans today can still see small pieces of this. A trained falcon returns to its handler after soaring miles away. A dog anticipates its companion's needs before a word is spoken. A horse moves in harmony with a rider who does not need reins. These moments are fragments of the old connection, echoes of a time when humans lived with animals as partners, not property. The Na'vi never lost this way of life. Their Tahailu makes the bond physical, but the principle is the same. Survival comes from relationship, not control. For the Na'vi, this bond has spiritual weight. Every Tahailu is part of Iwa's web. When a Na'vi and an animal move as one, Iwa's network strengthens. If the creature dies, its spirit flows back into Iwa, and the Na'vi can still feel its memory at the sacred trees. This gives the bond a sense of continuity. It is not only about the hunt or the ride, it is about belonging to something greater. The humans who come to Pandora often fail to see this. They treat animals as obstacles or resources. The Na'vi see them as threads in Iwa's living system. A dire horse or banshee is never just a mount. It is a partner whose spirit remains part of the people long after its body is gone. The Na'vi bond with animals is proof that connection is stronger than mastery, and that life, when joined together, creates something more enduring than either side alone. The Tree of Souls is more than sacred ground. It is the heart of Na'vi memory. Every Na'vi who has lived leaves something of themselves in its roots. Their voices, their thoughts, and their feelings remain woven into Iwa's living network. To connect at the tree is to step into a stream of memory that stretches back through generations. It is not only history written down, it is history spoken back in the words of those who lived it. The Na'vi do not keep libraries of paper or stone. They have this living archive where the past is never lost. When a Na'vi kneels at the tree and makes Tasahailu with its glowing roots, they can hear the voices of their ancestors. The sound is not a story told from memory, but the memory itself. A hunter might hear the experiences of those who tracked prey before them. A singer might hear the voice of their grandmother, guiding the rhythm of a song. A child may connect and feel the love of parents who are no longer living. Each bond is a direct encounter with the past. This connection also shapes how the Na'vi see death. To them, the end of a life is not disappearance, it is transfer. When a Na'vi dies, their spirit flows back into Iwa and finds a place in the Tree of Souls. The people mourn, but they also know their loved ones remain within reach. This makes grief different. Loss hurts, but the bond is not broken. One can return to the tree and hear the voice again. Grace Augustine, when her body failed, was carried there. The Na'vi tried to move her spirit into Aiwa, and even when her transfer was not complete in human terms, something of her still remains in the network, for the Na'vi. This was not failure, but proof that Aiwa takes in all who open themselves to her. The Tree of Souls also preserves lessons. A clan leader may speak to future generations through the tree. His wisdom does not die with him, but becomes part of the voice that guides those who come after. In this way, no knowledge is lost. A mistake can be remembered, a triumph can be relived, and guidance can continue even centuries later. Imagine kneeling under the glowing roots and hearing the words of an ancestor who faced the same challenge you face. Now, this is the living value of the tree. To outsiders, the Tree of Souls might appear as only a biological marvel. Neural activity stored within roots and branches, accessible through a kind of organic network. But for the Na'vi, it is something more profound. It is both memory and presence, both archive and spirit. Every life contributes to it, and every living Na'vi can draw from it. The Tree of Souls contains not just the past, but the ongoing voice of the people, ensuring no one who has lived is ever truly gone. Jake Sully's journey to Pandora was not the result of chance. Aiwa guided him there with purpose. To the human eye, his story begins with loss. He was a former Marine, bound to a wheelchair after combat. With few options left, he agreed to replace his twin brother in the Avatar program because their DNA was identical. From the outside, it looked like random circumstance, a twist of fate that gave him a second chance. But the Na'vi see such things differently. For them, nothing of this scale happens without Aiwa's hand. When Jake first arrived, he was untrained, clumsy, and ignorant of the Na'vi way of life. He was not a scholar like Grace Augustine, or a seasoned negotiator like others in the program. He had no deep scientific background. Yet he was the one who found a path into the Omaticaya clan. Naitiri saved him in the forest because Aiwa gave her a sign. The Atokirina, the pure spirit seeds, landed on Jake in numbers too great to ignore. Naitiri told him they were a signal, and her people believed this fully. Aiwa chose him, and the signs were visible to anyone willing to see them. Jake's training with the Na'vi might have seemed like a desperate attempt by the RDA to infiltrate the clan, but it became something more. Each test he faced, the dire horse, the banshee, the trials of skill, fit him in ways that shaped his growth. He learned faster than many expected, not because he was exceptional on his own, but because Aiwa opened the path before him. A rider must find one banshee among many, a creature that accepts them and only them. Jake found his match, and later, when the people needed more, he went further. He sought out Turok, the great Leonopteryx, a beast few dared to tame. Turok was a feat from legend, but Aiwa allowed him to succeed. This act alone rallied the clans and brought them together at the moment of greatest threat. The timing of Jake's rise also shows Aiwa's guidance. The RDA had begun tearing into the land for unobtainium, and destruction spread through forests sacred to the Na'vi. The balance of life was breaking. Aiwa responded by raising up a champion who could lead both Na'vi and humans into unity. Jake became that champion, not because he sought the role, but because Aiwa placed him in it. Even in his final transfer, when he left his human body behind, Aiwa accepted him fully. His passage into his Na'vi body was not only science, it was Aiwa's choice, completing the path she had set the day he first arrived. Every step in Jake's story carries this weight. He was not an accident on Pandora. He was a piece of Aiwa's design, guided to where he needed to be when the people needed him most. The Na'vi believe that all living things are part of Aiwa's web. Every tree, animal, and person is connected through her energy. For humans, this connection has always seemed out of reach. They arrived on Pandora with machines and weapons, believing Iwa was only myth. Yet their presence on the moon has already shown signs that the barrier between them and Iwa is not permanent. In time, humans may be fully accepted into her network, not as outsiders borrowing from it, but as participants whose spirits flow into her, like the Navi. The transfer of Grace Augustine gave the first glimpse of this possibility. When her body failed, the Navi brought her to the Tree of Souls. They tried to guide her spirit into Iwa. She did not survive in the way the Navi hoped, but something of her remained. Jake later confirmed he could feel her presence in the network. Even though the transfer was not complete, Iwa had taken her in. This means that human spirit can cross into Iwa's system, even if human bodies are not built for the process. Jake Sully's own path went further. His transfer into his avatar body was successful, not because of human science alone, but because Iwa allowed it. He left his human body and fully became Navi. To the people, this was proof that Iwa accepted him as one of her own. His mind and spirit were not rejected. They became part of her balance, the same as any Navi who returned to her after death. If Jake could make that passage, then other humans may one day follow, even without avatars. Iwa does not see species as a limit. She sees connection and choice. Kiri offers another sign. Though she was born of human origin, her bond with Iwa is stronger than anyone else's. She hears Iwa directly, without needing ritual or sacred ground. Her life shows that Iwa can create bridges between the two peoples. Kiri is not an accident. She is a step toward a future where humans no longer stand outside of Iwa's flow. Imagine a time when a human child kneels at the Tree of Souls and feels the voices of ancestors, not only Navi, but human as well. Picture a clan that carries both traditions, each member returning to Iwa when they die. The memories of Earth's people, their joys and failures, could live on in the network, adding to Iwa's vast body of knowledge. The same way the Navi preserve songs and voices, humanity's long history could find a place within her. The machines and weapons that damaged Pandora once seemed like a wall too strong to cross. But Iwa defends balance, and she also heals. She tests humanity with choices. Each act of destruction is answered with a chance for renewal. When humans finally learn to live with the land instead of taking from it, Iwa may accept them as she has accepted every creature born under her light. The signs are already there, in Grace, in Jake, and in Kiri. Iwa's network does not close. It waits. And one day, humans will be part of it. The bond between a Navi and a Banshee is one of the most important steps in a Navi's life. To an outsider, it may look like a test of skill or courage, but for the Navi, it is far more. It is a spiritual rite, an act that joins the rider not only to the creature, but also to Iwa's web of life. The Banshee is not just a mount, it becomes part of the rider's spirit, and through Tasahailu their minds move as one. When a young Navi climbs the cliffs to seek out a Banshee, they do so knowing the risk. The animal does not wait passively. It fights, resists, and challenges the hunter. The Navi does not win by overpowering it. They must prove their resolve, their courage, and their balance of spirit. If the Banshee accepts them, the bond is formed. If not, the Navi must return and try again another day. This process is more than survival. It is a way of showing Iwa that the hunter is ready to join fully with the people. Only those who succeed can call themselves warriors once Tasahailu is made. The bond changes both rider and Banshee. The Navi feels the wind through the creature's wings. The Banshee senses the direction of the rider's thought before movement is made. This harmony cannot be faked. It is not a matter of pulling reins or issuing commands. The Banshee chooses to follow, and the Navi chooses to guide. In this way, Every flight is a shared act. The rider gains the sky, but the banshee gains a partner who carries its spirit into the songs of the people. The rite also carries weight for the entire clan. When a young hunter returns with a bonded banshee, it marks their place in the community. The event is remembered in song, not only to honor the individual, but to honor the creature as well. The banshee is celebrated as a willing participant in the people's life. This shows that the bond is not only personal, it is communal. The entire clan recognizes the union as part of Aiwa's living balance. Legends deepen this rite even further. The rare act of bonding with Toruk, the great Leonopteryx, is seen as a calling from Aiwa herself. Only a few Na'vi across generations have achieved it, and each time it marked a turning point in their history. Jake Sully's choice to bond with Toruk was not seen as luck or daring alone. It was read as Aiwa's decision to give the people a leader in their time of need. This shows how closely the Na'vi connect the act of bonding to the will of Aiwa. To outsiders, the banshee may look like a fierce predator, tamed by skill or bravery. To the Na'vi, it is a partner chosen through spirit. The rite of bonding is not a conquest, but a union. It transforms the Na'vi into a full member of their people and affirms their place in Aiwa's web. Every flight across the skies is both physical and spiritual, a reminder that life on Pandora is lived through connection, not control. The floating mountains of Pandora are one of the most mysterious sights in the world of the Na'vi. To human scientists, they appear to be the result of unusual magnetic fields created by the planet's mineral deposits. Vast amounts of unobtainium disturb gravity and create zones where stone defies weight. This explanation is correct on one level, but it does not tell the whole story. To the Na'vi, the mountains float not only because of geology, but because Aiwa holds them in balance with her energy. The magnetism is a physical sign of a deeper power. Aiwa uses it as part of her design, both to sustain life and to remind the people of her presence. The Hallelujah Mountains are more than floating rock. They are sacred places difficult to reach and filled with beauty. Mist surrounds them, and vines dangle between cliffs, allowing the Na'vi to move from one mountain to another. Their banshees nest high in the crags, and the Na'vi see these places as perfect for spiritual trials. To climb or to fly among the mountains is not only a test of skill, it is a step into Aiwa's living heart. The people believe Aiwa chose these mountains to hang suspended because they carry great spiritual weight. The unusual gravity is her way of marking the ground as sacred. From a practical view, the magnetic currents around the mountains create pathways in the sky. They confuse human machines but support Na'vi flight. Banshees move easily through the energy because they are part of Aiwa's system. Humans who try to navigate with metal and circuits often fail. Their instruments lose direction and their craft fall. The Na'vi see this as proof that Aiwa protects her places. The mountains allow her children to live and grow, but they reject intruders who do not respect the balance. Aiwa's role in the floating mountains can also be understood through how the Na'vi interact with them. When a rider bonds with a banshee in these heights, the act is not random. The mountains hold the right because they are suspended between earth and sky, just as the rider is suspended between independence and unity. The energy of the mountains mirrors the energy of Taialu, a tension that becomes harmony once joined. The Na'vi believe this is no accident. Aiwa shaped the mountains to serve this purpose, sustaining them with her power so that every generation could face the same trial. Even human science, if viewed through a broader lens, suggests the same. Magnetic energy by itself might cause floating rock, but the stability of the mountains is beyond what chance would allow. Storms rage around them, yet they do not collapse. Earthquakes shake Pandora, yet they remain steady. Aiwa's energy flows through them, using natural forces as tools. She bends magnetism into form, keeping the mountains aloft as both wonder and warning. For the Na'vi, the sight of the floating mountains is constant proof of Aiwa's strength. They know the rocks should fall, yet they remain in the sky. This balance is not only physical, it is spiritual, held by Aiwa's will and her connection to all living things. The mountains are her reminder that the laws of nature bend to her design, and that life on Pandora is always sustained by her unseen hand. Pandora glows at night in a way no other world does. The forests, rivers, and even the smallest plants give off light. To the Na'vi, this glow is not only beauty, it is Aiwa's way of watching over them. The bioluminescence is a living sign of her presence, a constant reminder that no step, no breath, and no action happens outside her sight. The Na'vi move through the forest with confidence because they know Aiwa is always with them, guiding and observing through the patterns of light. Every plant and animal on Pandora carries this glow in some form. The smallest insects flash across the air like sparks, while massive trees pulse with steady radiance. The ground itself lights up under a Na'vi's foot, each step awakening hidden currents of blue and green. To an outsider, this might seem like a natural form of energy exchange, but the Na'vi read it as communication. When the forest lights in response to their touch, they see it as Aiwa's way of acknowledging their presence, showing them that they are part of the larger system. The bioluminescence also acts as protection. It helps the Na'vi travel safely in darkness, but more than that, it warns them. A sudden change in the light can signal danger ahead. Patterns shift when predators move nearby. Trails brighten when Aiwa seems to guide them toward safety. Neytiri once told Jake Sully that Aiwa does not take sides, but she does protect the balance of life. The glow of the forest is one of the ways she makes her will known. A Na'vi who pays attention to these signals can survive where a careless outsider would stumble into harm. The glow is also tied to ritual. When the Amaticaya gather at the Tree of Souls, the forest shines brighter, as though responding to their songs and prayers. Spirit seeds drift through the air like tiny lights, settling on those chosen by Aiwa. These seeds are more than decoration. They are messengers. Their glow marks the path Aiwa wants her people to follow. The night Jake was saved by Neytiri. It was the spirit seeds that convinced her. He was not an enemy, but someone Aiwa had chosen. The glow around him was Aiwa's way of speaking without words. Even animals carry this same role. The dire horse pulses with faint patterns when it bonds with a rider. The banshee's wings shimmer in flight, reflecting both light and movement. These are not random displays. The Na'vi see them as signs of Aiwa's presence in every creature. When Taihailu connects rider and mount, the glow deepens, showing the union has Aiwa's blessing. Human scientists often describe Pandora's bioluminescence in terms of energy efficiency, chemical reactions, and evolutionary advantage, but even they admit the scale of it is unusual. On Earth, bioluminescence is rare, found in only a few deep-sea creatures or insects. On Pandora, it is everywhere, woven into every layer of life. The Na'vi believe this cannot be chance. It is Aiwa's design, ensuring that her children always feel her presence. In every glowing leaf and every shining step, she watches, she listens, and she guides. The Amaticaya do not write their history in books or carve it into stone. They keep it alive through song. Every event, every lesson, and every memory of the clan is carried in their voices. The songs are more than music. They are memory storage, a living record that passes from one generation to the next without ever being forgotten. When the clan gathers to sing, they are not only creating harmony, they are speaking their history aloud. so it remains present in the minds of all who hear it. A song might tell of a great hunt, describing how the hunters tracked prey through the forest and how Aiwa guided them. Another might preserve the memory of hardship, when storms destroyed the clan's shelters or when predators tested their strength. These are not told as stories alone. They are sung, shaped by rhythm and melody, so they stay anchored in the memory of the people. A child listening learns not only words but tone, pitch, and flow. As the child grows, they repeat it until the memory becomes part of them. In this way, the clan ensures that even centuries later, the voices of ancestors remain alive. The songs also carry names. When a Na'vi lives with honor, their deeds are remembered in song so future generations know them. The music becomes a monument. A name sung in the present brings the person back to life in the ears of the listeners. For the Amaticaya, this is how they keep their dead close. Their voices continue to speak through melody, and the memory of who they were never fades. Songs guide daily life as well. A healer may sing a line that recalls the plants used for medicine. A craftsman might chant the steps of shaping wood or weaving fibers. These are practical instructions disguised as rhythm. The act of singing them ensures the knowledge is not lost, because a song is easier to recall than a list of facts. In this way, the clan embeds survival in art. The songs connect to Aiwa as well. When sung at the Tree of Voices or the Tree of Souls, the people believe their words enter the network. The melody becomes more than sound in the air. It becomes memory flowing into Aiwa, joining the voices of ancestors already stored there. The next time the song is sung, it carries not only the voice of the present, but the weight of all who have sung it before. For an outsider, the Amatikaya's reliance on song may seem fragile compared to written records. Yet the system is strong because it is living. A book can be burned or lost, but a song held in the memory of an entire people cannot be destroyed. The Amatikaya know this. They protect their history not with walls or archives, but with voices joined together. Each note preserves memory, and each singer becomes part of the chain that stretches back to the beginning of their people. Grace Augustine devoted her life to understanding Pandora and the Na'vi. She built schools, studied the language, and defended the forests against the destruction brought by her own species. When her body was failing, the Na'vi carried her to the Tree of Souls. They hoped Aiwa would transfer her consciousness into her avatar body, saving her life. The transfer did not succeed in the way they wished. Grace's human body died, and her avatar never awakened. Yet the Na'vi knew that something of her remained. Aiwa had taken her spirit into the network, allowing her voice and memory to live on within Pandora itself. Jake Sully later spoke of feeling her presence when he connected to Aiwa. She had not vanished but become part of the living memory that flows through the roots and energy of the planet. To the Na'vi, this was not a failure but a transformation. Grace had given her life in service to Aiwa, and in return, Aiwa allowed her to remain. Her spirit joined the vast collection of voices stored in the Tree of Souls, alongside the ancestors of the Na'vi this moment, showed that Aiwa does not close her web to humans. Grace was not Na'vi by birth, but her actions and her choices proved her respect for the balance of life. When Aiwa accepted her, it confirmed the belief that the network welcomes all who honor it. Grace's work as a teacher and protector was not lost. It continues, carried in the memories Aiwa preserves. The Navy see Grace as an unusual figure, someone who crossed the line between species and was rewarded with a place among their spirits. For them, her story is a lesson. It shows that Aiwa judges not by body, but by intent. A human who comes in greed and violence will find no home in her web, but one who comes in respect may remain forever. For Jake and the Amaticaya, Grace's presence in Aiwa's network became a source of strength. They could still feel her wisdom when they prayed at the Tree of Souls. In times of uncertainty, the memory of her guidance continued to flow into their people. It was as if her teaching did not end with her death. It only changed form. Even human science could not fully explain this. The transfer process seemed to fail. Yet Grace's spirit endured in a way no machine could account for. This pointed to Iwa's active choice. She did not let Grace's spirit fade into nothing. She took her in, showing that the bond between Pandora and those who serve it can outlast the body. Grace Augustine lives on within Iwa, not as a shadow, but as a voice in the great song of the people. Kiri's birth is one of the greatest mysteries of Pandora. She came into the world from the inert avatar body of Grace Augustine, a body that should not have been able to create life on its own. No father was known, and no scientific explanation was given. Yet Kiri lives, breathes, and walks among the Na'vi as one of them. The Na'vi see this, not as chance, but as the will of Iwa. To them, Kiri is Iwa's chosen child, created with purpose to bridge the worlds of human and Na'vi from. The beginning, Kiri showed signs of being different. She could hear Iwa's voice without needing to connect at the sacred trees, where others required ritual and direct contact with the network. Kiri felt Iwa everywhere. She spoke of whispers in the wind, of guidance no one else could hear. To some, this made her seem strange, even fragile. But the people understood what it meant. She was marked by Iwa, gifted with a bond deeper than any other. Her mixed origin makes her a natural bridge. She carries human ancestry through Grace's avatar body, yet she was born Na'vi in form and spirit. In her, the two species meet without conflict. This is why many believe she is Iwa's answer to the long struggle between Na'vi and human. Instead of war and separation, Kiri represents the possibility of unity. Her existence proves that Iwa can create new life outside the limits of either biology or science. Kiri's role became clear in moments of danger. When Jake's family faced pursuit and fear, Kiri's connection to Iwa saved them more than once. She could call the creatures of the sea to protect her siblings. She could sense threats before others noticed them. These were not accidents. They were signs of her place in Iwa's plan. The Na'vi believe Iwa does not interfere in small things, but acts when balance is threatened. Kiri's gifts appeared at the times they were most needed, shaping the survival of her family and her people. Even her struggles point to her purpose. She often feels caught between worlds, uncertain where she belongs. This is the weight of being a bridge. A bridge is not the destination, but the path that connects two sides. Kiri embodies this, carrying the spirit of both human and Na'vi while belonging fully to neither. Iwa shaped her this way so that both peoples could see themselves in her. Imagine a future where humans learn to live within Iwa's web. It is easy to see Kiri at the center of that moment, guiding them into understanding. She is young, but her bond with Iwa is older than her years. Through her, the Na'vi know that Iwa has not closed her network to humanity. She has prepared a child to open it. Kiri stands as proof that Iwa's plan reaches beyond one people, beyond one form of life, into a future where the two can join. When the RDA arrived on Pandora, they came with machines designed to dig, cut, and strip the land. Their goal was unobtainium, a mineral that disrupted the planet's magnetic fields and carried immense value back on Earth. To them, Pandora was a resource waiting to be extracted. What they did not see was how their actions disturbed Iwa's balance. Every tree pulled from the ground, every blast that scarred the soil, was felt through the network that binds all life together. The more they mined, the more Iwa responded. It was as if the planet itself had defensive instincts, rising to protect what was being threatened. The Na'vi noticed this long before the humans did. Hunters spoke of animals behaving strangely when the machines tore into the earth. Packs of viper wolves grew bolder. Thanators moved closer to human camps. even the great hammerhead Titanotheres charged without warning. To the Na'vi, this was not random. It was Iwa directing her creatures, pushing them forward as antibodies respond to infection. The RDA mistook this as the natural hostility of Pandora's wildlife. They never understood that their own digging triggered the response. The most powerful sign of Pandora's defense came during the battle for Home Tree. The humans had destroyed sacred land, and the Na'vi stood on the edge of defeat. At that moment, Iwa released her full strength. Creatures from across the forest surged into the fight. Thanatos tore through armored vehicles. Dire horses trampled soldiers. Even the flying banshees descended in swarms, attacking human aircraft without riders to guide them. Natiri said it clearly: Iwa does not take sides, but she protects the balance. The RDA's mining and destruction had pushed the balance so far that Iwa acted through the entire living system. From a human scientific view, this might look like coincidence. The vibrations from the mining could have disturbed animal patterns, drawing predators toward human operations, but the scale and timing tell another story. These responses came when they were needed most, when the Na'vi stood to lose everything. Iwa used the instincts of her creatures as her weapon, not to destroy humanity outright, but to restore balance where it had been broken. The RDA's failure came from believing Pandora was dead matter, a planet of minerals and forests to be carved apart. They could not imagine that the land itself could resist them. Yet every time they cut deeper, the reaction grew stronger. The Na'vi understood this as Iwa's defense, not a random chain of events. Her network is sensitive to damage, and when the wounds are too deep, she acts. The RDA woke a power they could never control. The more they mined, the more they awakened Iwa's instinct to heal by fighting back. When Jake Sully made his final transfer into his avatar body, most believed his human body had died. To the Na'vi, however, death is not always an ending. At the Tree of Souls, Iwa holds the power to take a spirit and join it to her network. Jake's passing from one body to another was not a failure of flesh, but a transformation. His human body was left behind, but his spirit did not vanish. It merged with Iwa, becoming part of her while also living on in his new Na'vi form. The Na'vi understand this better than humans, because they have seen it before. When a Na'vi dies, their body returns to the earth, but their spirit flows into Iwa's great web. This is why they pray over the fallen and return them to the forest. Nothing is lost. All life becomes part of Iwa again. Jake's transfer followed this same path. His body could no longer hold him, so Iwa received his spirit, but instead of keeping it within her network, she placed it into his avatar. In doing so, she showed her power to give more than death. She gave him continuation. Some might argue this was only the work of human science. The Avatar program was designed to link human minds to Na'vi bodies, after all. But the difference is clear when compared to the others. Grace Augustine's transfer failed, and yet her spirit still lived on inside Iwa. Jake's transfer succeeded in full, a sign that Iwa chose to complete the process. His human body did not simply expire as a machine shutting down. It merged into Iwa, freeing his spirit to cross the threshold and awaken as one of the people. This explains why Jake never feels torn between his two identities. Many humans who used avatars struggled with the divide between human and Na'vi. Jake, after his transfer, does not. His spirit is fully anchored, because Iwa accepted the sacrifice of his human form and made him whole within his new body. His human self was not destroyed. It was absorbed into Iwa, the way all life is, leaving nothing behind but what was needed for his future. Consider the symbolism of his final act. The ceremony took place at the Tree of Souls, the very heart of Iwa's memory. The Na'vi surrounded him, singing and praying, giving their energy to help guide him. At that moment, Jake was not alone. His human life merged into Aiwa, while the Na'vi welcomed him as one of their own. His breathing stopped in one body, but began anew in another. The presence of Aiwa made the passage seamless, binding his spirit to the living network, and ensuring his human body was not wasted in silence, but carried forward in her design. The Na'vi language is more than words spoken from one person to another. It is a living expression of their bond with Aiwa. Each sound, each phrase, and each shift in meaning grows with the people, shaped by the will of the great network that binds them to the Na'vi. Their language is not just a tool for speaking, it is part of Aiwa's living web, carrying the rhythm of the forest, the pulse of the rivers, and the breath of the creatures around them. The Na'vi believe that Aiwa guides how their language changes. New words are not invented by chance. For example, when new animals are discovered, names seem to emerge naturally, carried on the wind or through dreams. When great events take place, the words to describe them fit as though they had always existed, waiting to be spoken. To the Na'vi, this is Aiwa ensuring that their language always reflects the balance of life. The way the Na'vi speak also mirrors their environment. Their words for light, shadow, and colour are shaped by the glowing forests around them. Their terms for family and kinship grow from the closeness of the clan. Even the rhythm of their speech resembles the flow of natural sounds, the calls of animals, the rustle of leaves, the heartbeat of the land. In this sense, Aiwa speaks through them every time they use their language. Songs carry this truth most clearly. A song is not only art but a way to preserve memory. When sung, the words join with Aiwa, becoming part of the great network. Generations pass the songs down, and yet the language within them remains alive, adapting without breaking. A child who sings the song of their ancestors feels both the old words and the new meanings Aiwa has added. The language grows as they do, weaving past and present into one voice. The Na'vi also believe that the language responds to balance and imbalance. Words can shift in meaning when the people face great trials. During the war against the RDA, old terms for conflict took on sharper edges. New ways of speaking about unity and survival appeared, as if Aiwa herself was giving the people tools to face their struggle. To the Na'vi, this was not coincidence. It was Aiwa shaping their speech so that they could carry their experiences into memory without losing them. Even outsiders feel the living quality of the Navy tongue. Jake Sully learned it as part of his training, and over time he noticed how natural it became to him. He was not only learning grammar or vocabulary, he was entering a way of speaking that moved with life itself. To speak Navy is to join a current, to feel words as part of the flow of Aiwa. This is why the Na'vi say their language is alive. It is not fixed on stone tablets or frozen in time. It breathes, changes, and carries the will of Aiwa in every sound. The sea clans of Pandora live by the ocean, and their lives are bound to the Tulkuns. These great beings are more than allies or companions. They are kin. The Na'vi of the reef see the Tulkuns not only as partners, but as family members whose bond runs deeper than the link the Sky Clans share with their banshees. While the Sky Clans value the ritual of joining with a banshee, the Sea Clans hold the Tulkuns as equals, with bonds that last for life. A Tulkun is not a simple creature of the sea. They carry intelligence that rivals the Na'vi themselves. They compose songs, share stories, and remember events across centuries. When a Sea Clan member forms a bond with a Tulkun, the connection is not limited to flight or travel. It is a bond of thought and spirit. The Tulkun chooses its partner as carefully as the Na'vi choose them. Once joined, they share knowledge, memories, and emotions in a way even deeper than Tahailu with banshees. In the Sky Clans, the bond with a banshee is a rite of passage. A young warrior proves themselves by taming the creature, facing danger, and earning its respect. The bond is powerful and it carries great honor, but it often lasts only as long as the banshee lives. With the sea clans, the Tulkun bond is different. It is lifelong and spiritual, not based on proving dominance, but on mutual recognition. A Na'vi may speak of their Tulkun as a sibling or a second self, and the Tulkun in return treats the Na'vi as part of its family group. The depth of this bond shows in mourning. When hunters killed Tulkuns for their glands, the grief of the sea clans was overwhelming. They did not weep only for lost animals. They grieved as if members of their families had been murdered. Children were left without the wisdom of their Tulkun partners. Elders carried the pain of losing companions they had known for decades. This reaction reveals how tightly woven the Tulkun are into the spiritual and emotional lives of the people. The intelligence of the Tulkuns strengthens this bond further. They create art in their songs, and the sea clans preserve those songs as history. A Na'vi child who listens to a Tulkun's voice is not simply hearing sound, but is learning lessons carried through generations. This exchange of culture is something the banshee cannot provide. The banshee is fierce, loyal, and necessary for the life of the Sky Clans, but it does not share stories or philosophy. The Tulkun does, and this makes the relationship more equal, more lasting, and more sacred. The Sea Clans believe Iwa gave the Tulkuns their great intelligence so that the people would have teachers as well as companions. To swim alongside a Tulkun is to move with Iwa's design. The Sea Clans know this in every breath and every song. Their bond is proof that some connections run deeper than survival, carrying the weight of family, history, and spirit all at once. The Na'vi believe that Iwa is not passive. She does not sit apart from the world, watching without action. Instead, she works quietly, shaping events so that balance is always restored. Her influence does not come in the form of commands or direct interference. It comes through subtle shifts, animals moving at the right time, signs appearing when they are needed, or people being placed where they must be. To the Na'vi, these are not accidents. They are Iwa's hand at work, guiding without force and correcting when harmony is broken. One of the clearest examples comes from Jake Sully's arrival. By chance, he replaced his brother in the Avatar program. By chance, he wandered into the forest and faced death on his first night. But Neytiri was there to save him. She would not have acted without reason. Yet Iwa sent the Atokarina, the pure spirit seeds, to land on Jake. Neytiri recognized them as a sign. Without them, she might have left him behind. With them, she understood that Iwa had chosen him. This set Jake on the path to becoming part of the people. What appeared random was part of a larger plan. Iwa also acts through the natural world itself. When the RDA began their assault on Pandora, the balance of life was shattered. The Na'vi faced destruction at the hands of machines and fire. Yet at the moment when all seemed lost, the creatures of the forest surged into battle. Thanators, dire horses, and even the great hammerhead Titanotheres attacked in unison, overwhelming human forces. The Na'vi knew this was Iwa's will. She did not stand aside and watch the forest burn. She moved through the instincts of her creatures, calling them to restore balance against the invasion. These actions reveal a pattern. Iwa does not create perfection, but she ensures that imbalance does not last. When greed and destruction rise, she raises a champion or moves the living world to resist. When grief overwhelms, she gives comfort through connection. At the Tree of Souls, the Na'vi hear the voices of their ancestors. This is Iwa reminding them that no life is truly lost, even in times of despair. In this way, she balances grief with memory, turning loss into continuity. Her influence is not always dramatic. Sometimes it appears in the smallest details. A hunter may find their prey at the exact moment their family is starving. A storm may scatter human aircraft before they can reach a sacred site. A child may receive guidance in a dream that helps them avoid danger. These moments seem too precise to be mere coincidence. The Na'vi read them as proof that Aiwa acts in ways humans cannot measure, weaving balance into every thread of life. Kiri herself is another example. Her birth had no explanation in human science. Yet her existence bridges human and Na'vi, offering hope for future unity. This is not chance. It is Aiwa preparing for what is to come, placing someone where she will be needed. Her gift of hearing Aiwa's voice directly shows the same purpose. When division grows, Aiwa creates connection. Balance is Aiwa's constant goal. She does not prevent struggle, but she ensures that struggle does not destroy the whole. Every event, from Jake's rise to the defense of the forest, carries signs of her touch. To live on Pandora is to see that nothing is random. Aiwa shapes the flow so that life, in the end, always returns to harmony. Pandora challenges every outsider who tries to live on it. The air is toxic to humans. The gravity pulls differently on the body, and the creatures are far stronger and faster than anything found on Earth. The Na'vi are built for this world. Their height, their lungs, their bone structure, even their cue for Tarsailu all show adaptation for life. Humans cannot walk the forests or dive into the seas without masks, machines, or avatars to carry them. But if they remain long enough, they may not need those tools forever. Over time, humans could evolve Na'vi-like features to survive on Pandora. Biology has always shown that life changes to meet its environment. On Earth, fish became amphibians when land offered food. Early primates grew upright to move through savannas. Human skin tones shifted to match the strength of the sun in different regions. Evolution is slow, but it always responds to need. On Pandora, the need is immediate. Humans cannot breathe unaided, and their bodies are weaker in comparison to the Na'vi. If they are to endure across generations, their descendants must change. The most obvious adaptation would be the lungs. A human who stays on Pandora for centuries could not rely forever on masks. Breathing the atmosphere directly would demand lungs larger and stronger, much like those of the Na'vis. Children born in this environment might gradually inherit such traits. Scientists once observed similar changes in humans on Earth who lived at high altitudes. Their bodies produced greater lung capacity and higher red blood cell counts to survive in thin air. On Pandora, the same principle would apply, only more extreme. Height and strength would also matter. The Na'vi stand tall and lean, with frames suited for climbing massive trees and moving quickly across uneven terrain. Humans would struggle in comparison, but over generations, selection would favor those who grew stronger, taller, and more agile. A smaller body like that of a human would be vulnerable. A larger frame, closer to the Na'vi, would be necessary to match the dangers of the forest and sea. Even senses would adapt. The Na'vi hear and see with sharpness humans cannot match. This ability is not decoration, it is survival. A predator's growl or the shimmer of bioluminescence in the dark can mean the difference between life and death. Humans living for centuries on Pandora would need similar perception. Over time, their eyes could sharpen to see clearly at night, and their ears might tune to frequencies now beyond them. The deepest question is whether humans could ever develop something like Tahailu. The Na'vi connect through their cues, binding with animals, and even with Aiwa herself. At first, this seems beyond human reach, but if Aiwa accepts humanity into her network, she may guide their evolution in that direction. Already, Jake Sully's transformation into his avatar showed that a human spirit can merge with Na'vi biology. Kiri's birth also suggests Aiwa has the power to blend the two species. If she wills it, humans may one day grow the physical traits needed to join fully in her living web. This path would not happen quickly. It would take generations of humans choosing to remain, living alongside the Navi, raising children in Pandora's forests and seas. Each generation would carry traits that helped them survive. Slowly, those traits would grow until the difference between human and Navi became less clear. Pandora has already begun shaping those who stay. Awa does not reject them outright. She tests them, and those who adapt will become more like her children. In time, humans may find themselves evolving into something closer to Navi, not as copies, but as survivors molded by Awa's world. The spirit seeds of Pandora drift through the air like glowing threads of silk. To human scientists, they appear to be the seeds of the sacred tree, carried by the wind for reproduction. To the Navi, they are far more. They call them a Tokirina, and they believe these seeds are Iwa's messengers. Each time they appear, they carry meaning. They do not float at random. They move with purpose, choosing where to land, who to touch, and what path to mark. Neytiri explained this to Jake Sully on his first night in the forest. Spirit seeds settled on him in great numbers, and Neytiri recognized it as a sign. She had considered leaving him to the dangers of the forest, but when the seeds covered him, she understood that Awa had chosen him. Without that moment, Jake would never have been brought to the Amaticaya. The seeds showed Neytiri what she needed to see, guiding her to save a stranger who would later become a leader of the people. This is how the Navi understand the role of the spirit seeds. They appear at turning points, nudging choices that shape the future. The Navi treat the spirit seeds with great respect. When one lands on a person, they remain still, allowing it to rest as long as it wishes. Moving too quickly or brushing it away would be an insult, as though refusing Iwa's word. Children are taught from an early age that the seeds are sacred. If a cluster drifts into the village, the people fall silent, waiting to see what the messengers will do. Where they settle is taken as direction from Awa, not to be ignored. The seeds also appear during rituals. At the Tree of Souls, they gather when prayers are strong, as though confirming that Awa listens. They have been seen circling around the dying, marking the moment when a spirit prepares to return to Awa. They have been seen surrounding newborns, blessing new life as it enters the clan. The Navi believe these moments are Iwa's way of speaking, without words, using the spirit seeds as her voice. To outsiders, the seeds might be dismissed as natural curiosities, but even human observers notice their strange precision. They do not float aimlessly like pollen or dust. They hover, circle, and choose. Their movement suggests intention, something more than air currents or chance. The Navi see this as undeniable proof that Iwa works through them, shaping events with a light touch. Spirit seeds are also remembered in stories. Songs tell of ancestors who were guided by their presence, finding food in times of famine or safety when danger closed in. These stories are not told as myth, but as history, passed down so that each generation understands how to read Iwa's signs. A hunter might change course when spirit seeds appear before him, trusting they are leading him toward prey. A healer might gather herbs where seeds fall, believing Iwa is showing where medicine grows. The Navi never doubt the seeds' role as messengers. They do not need to hear Iwa's voice in words because they see her direction in the glow of the Atokarina. In their presence, they know Iwa is near, watching and guiding, always reminding her children that no choice is made alone. Pandora is often described as a moon, a place orbiting a giant planet, filled with forests, oceans and mountains. To the Navi, this view is too small. They do not see Pandora as an object in space, but as a living organism. Every part of it, the soil, the water, the trees, and the creatures, forms a single body guided by Awa. The planet is not a stage on which life acts, it is life itself, breathing, feeling, and responding to everything within it. The best proof of this lies in the neural network that links every plant and animal. Scientists who measured it found more connections than in the human brain. Each root, each tendril of plant matter, joins with others to create a vast web of signals. This web allows information to pass across the entire world. To the Na'vi, this is not just communication. It is consciousness. The planet is aware of itself, aware of its children, and able to act to preserve balance. Examples of this are seen whenever Iwewa responds to threats. When the RDA destroyed forests and attacked the Na'vi, creatures across Pandora acted together. Thanators, dire horses, and banshees descended on the invaders, as though commanded by a single mind. To human eyes, it looked like instinct. To the Na'vi, it was Pandora's defensive system. Just as a body sends white blood cells to fight infection, Iwa used the animals to resist the wound. The response was not random. It was organized, effective, and aimed at restoring balance. The floating mountains also reflect this living quality. They defy gravity through unusual magnetic fields, but the Na'vi believe Iwa shapes those forces deliberately. The mountains remain aloft despite storms and earthquakes, sustained as though they were organs of a larger body. In the same way, the glow of bioluminescence at night is not only chemical reaction, it is Pandora's nervous system, a way of showing presence and guiding her children through light. When the ground lights underfoot, the Na'vi feel they are walking across living skin. The Tree of Souls shows this most clearly. It is both part of Pandora and a doorway into Awa's consciousness. When a Na'vi connects to it, they do not only hear their ancestors, they tap into Pandora's own memory. The entire planet records, remembers, and speaks back to those who listen. This is not the behavior of a lifeless world. It is the behavior of an organism that values its parts and protects them. Even the rhythms of weather support this view. Storms do not strike randomly, but often in ways that serve Iwa's purpose. Floods can cleanse areas of corruption. Winds can drive invaders back. Calm follows when balance is restored. The Navy see this as Pandora's breath, shifting between rage and peace to maintain harmony. To think of Pandora only as terrain misses the truth. The Navy live every day. They walk on a body that feels their steps. They breathe air that carries awareness. They sing to trees that sing back. To them, Pandora is not a world they inhabit. It is the living being that holds them, remembers them, and acts through them as part of its larger self. The Na'vi live in harmony with the forests and seas of Pandora. But there are hints that this was not always the way. Long ago, they too explored tools and technology beyond the simple weapons and crafts they use today. The stories passed through songs and memory suggest that the Na'vi once experimented with inventions that allowed them to alter their environment in ways similar to what humans do. They built, they shaped, and they reached for power. But in time, they saw the cost of that path. They chose to abandon advanced technology, not out of weakness, but to preserve balance with Iwa. The Na'vi understand that every action has weight in Iwa's web. When they altered their surroundings too much, the harmony shifted. Forests suffered, animals pulled away, and the people felt the bond weaken. To them, this was not just an inconvenience but a warning. Iwa does not punish directly, but imbalance always shows itself. They realized that their creations risked cutting them away from the living network. That knowledge became the foundation of their choice to walk a simpler path. One can imagine the kind of tools they might have built. Stronger weapons could have made hunting easier, but they would have killed more than they needed, breaking the balance of predator and prey. Machines for clearing land might have given them space for larger villages, but they would have destroyed habitats that belonged to other creatures. Each gain would have carried a hidden loss, and in the end, the people would have paid for it with their connection to Iwa. They saw this clearly, and so they turned away from invention before it turned them into something unrecognizable. The Na'vi did not abandon knowledge itself. They still hold vast understanding of medicine, craft, and the natural world. Their bows are simple but strong enough to pierce armor. Their songs carry memory as reliably as any archive. Their bond with animals gives them partners in flight and in travel that no machine could replace. They found ways to live with the land instead of against it, using what Awa provided rather than forcing their own designs upon her. The choice stands in contrast to humans. On Earth, technology grew without restraint. Forests fell, oceans sickened, and balance collapsed. The humans who came to Pandora carried this same hunger, cutting into the land for minerals and profit. The Na'vi look at them and see the path they themselves might have taken, if not for Awa's guidance. By abandoning advanced technology, they avoided becoming a species at war with its own world. This history explains why the Na'vi are cautious with change. When Jake Sully first lived among them, he saw only bows, woven homes, and ritual practices. But behind these simple tools lies a deliberate choice. The Navy once had the ability to go further. They chose instead to remain close to Awa. Their technology became not machines, but living bonds. Sahailu, with dire horses and banshees, the memory network of the trees, and the harmony of their songs. This was their invention, and it carried them into balance rather than away from it. The Ash people live far from the lush forests and bright reefs of Pandora. Their home is shaped by fire, smoke, and stone. Unlike the Amaticaya or the Metcaina, who live in harmony with the green and blue worlds of the planet, the Ash people have learned to survive in harsher conditions. They are known for their strength and for their resilience. But their story also reveals a darker side of Pandora. The land they live in is more violent, and the culture they built around it reflects that difference. Pandora is not uniform in its beauty. It carries extremes. Some regions overflow with life, while others burn and crack under volcanic force, where fire dominates. The balance Awa keeps feels different. The Ash people grew within this environment, learning to treat fire as both tool and weapon. Their rituals use it, their identity is bound to it, and their struggles are shaped by it. This closeness to fire marks them as distinct from other clans, but it also exposes a side of Pandora that does not glow with harmony. It burns with destruction as much as creation. The Na'vi believe all clans are children of Awa, but not all walk the same path. The Ash people are feared even among their own kind because of their reputation for brutality. Where the Amaticaya sing to trees for memory, the Ash people carve their marks into stone. Where the Metcaina treat the Tulkun as kin, the Ash people honour strength through trials of pain and endurance. Their way is not seen as gentle or balanced, but as raw and often violent. Yet the Na'vi know this too is part of Pandora. Balance requires light and dark, creation and destruction. For outsiders, the Ash people may appear as an enemy to be fought, but in truth, they are a mirror. They show what Pandora looks like when survival is stripped to its hardest form. Fire consumes without hesitation. Ash covers the land, leaving scars that last for generations. Living in this place has shaped the Ash people into reflections of their environment. Their darker ways are not random. They are the voice of a land where Awa teaches through hardship rather than abundance. The arrival of the Ash people in the wider story of Pandora will remind both Na'vi and humans that the planet is not only glowing forests and flowing seas, it is also fire and ruin. Awa is not only nurturing, she can also be fierce, testing her children through suffering as much as through gifts. The Ash people embody this truth. They carry within them the memory of struggle, of survival, at the edge of destruction. When they step into the lives of other clans, they will bring not only fire, but a reminder that Pandora's balance includes shadow as well as light. The Na'vi know Awa as the great spirit of Pandora, the living network that binds every tree, animal, and person into one system. But some believe Iwa is not alone in the universe. They see her as part of something larger, a link in a chain that stretches across the stars. Just as Pandora itself is alive, other worlds may also hold their own world spirits, and Iwa connects to them in ways the Na'vi can only sense faintly. The idea is not difficult to imagine. Life on Pandora shows patterns too complex and deliberate to be the work of chance. The glowing forests, the perfect balance of predator and prey, the vast memory stored in roots and trees, these are signs of a guiding presence. If Pandora holds such a spirit, then other worlds filled with life may hold their own. Awa, in this view, is one voice among many, each tied to its own planet, but all reaching into a greater harmony. When the Na'vi pray at the Tree of Souls, they feel connection not only to their ancestors, but to something larger, something beyond Pandora itself. Some elders say they have heard whispers of voices that do not belong to their people, or even to their world. They believe these are echoes of other spirits, distant but linked. If Iwa's network carries the memory of every Na'vi, it may also touch the networks of other planets, sharing fragments of knowledge across the void. A human might call this speculation, yet even human science has begun to see strange signals. Grace Augustine once remarked that Pandora's neural network contained more connections than the human brain, enough to act as a galactic receiver. If information can pass across such a system, perhaps it is not limited to Pandora alone. Energy, thought, or memory might move between worlds with similar networks, carried in ways humans do not yet understand. The Na'vi explain it through story. They say, Iwa is a seed of a greater tree, one among many planted across the stars. Each seed grows into a world spirit, and all are tied together at the roots. The people of one world may never meet those of another, but their spirits still touch, joined in the deep places of the universe. This belief gives the Na'vi a sense that they are part of something far greater than themselves, part of a cosmic order that spans more than one planet. For the Na'vi, this changes how they see their struggles. When they resist the RDA, they believe they are not only defending Pandora, but also protecting the harmony of Iwa's larger family. Their world is one note in a universal song, and if it is silenced, the entire song loses balance. This belief explains their strength and their patience. They do not fight only for their home, but for the web of spirits that stretches beyond it. If Pandora is alive, then it is not alone. Awa is part of a network larger than any human machine, a connection of worlds that all hold their own guardians. To the Na'vi, this truth is not fantasy but certainty. When they close their eyes at the sacred trees, they hear it in the voices that drift like faint echoes from beyond the sky. The Na'vi live far longer than humans. Their lives stretch across centuries, giving them time to see generations rise and fall, while they themselves remain strong. This long lifespan is not only a matter of biology. The Na'vi believe it is linked to Iwa's memory preservation. Each Na'vi carries within them not just a body, but a vessel of memory that Iwa uses to keep the balance of knowledge across time. When a Na'vi dies, their spirit does not fade. Through the connection at the Tree of Souls, their memories and essence flow into Iwa's great network. Nothing is lost. Every laugh, every sorrow, every lesson becomes part of the living archive. But Awa does not wait until death to use those memories. She works through the lives of the Na'vi, guiding them to preserve experience while they are still alive. This may explain why their lives are so long. The more years a Na'vi lives, the more knowledge they carry, and the more they can pass into Iwa when their time comes. This perspective shapes how the Na'vi live. An elder is not only respected for age, but for being a walking library of Iwa's design. A Na'vi, who has seen 200 years, has gathered vast understanding of hunting, healing, songs, and spiritual practice. Their words are treated as living records, as if Aiwa speaks through them with the weight of memory. When they finally pass, their memories are given back to Aiwa in full, but until then, they serve as guardians of the present. Even their rituals reflect this link. When the Amaticaya gather at the Tree of Voices, they connect directly to Aiwa and feel the presence of those who came before. The sensation is not abstract. They hear voices, they feel emotions, and they gain guidance as if speaking with the living. This shows that Aiwa's memory preservation is active. The long lives of the Na'vi allow her to weave continuity without interruption. The younger generations hear their ancestors not only in ritual, but through the teachings of those still alive, extending the memory chain across centuries. Human scientists have tried to explain this lifespan through biology. They point to the Na'vi's larger frame, their slower aging process, and the efficiency of their neural system. But even those who measure these details admit the mystery remains. The Na'vi themselves answer more simply. Their lives are long because Aiwa wills it. The preservation of memory requires time, and so she grants them more of it. Consider the role of stories in this system. A Na'vi song is not only poetry, it is memory encoded in rhythm and sound. When sung by someone who has lived 200 years, the weight of memory becomes almost indistinguishable from Aiwa's own. This is how the Na'vi see their place in the web, long lives, given so that Aiwa can gather more from them, ensuring nothing is wasted. Each generation does not replace the last too quickly, but overlaps, so that memory is handed from voice to voice, always flowing until Aiwa draws it fully into her network. On Pandora, no creature lives apart from Aiwa. Every animal, from the smallest insect to the great tulkun, is part of her nervous system. Their movements, instincts, and even their lives form signals within the vast network that ties the planet together. To the Na'vi, this is not a belief, but an everyday reality. When they see a dire horse respond to a rider, or a school of fish move as one, they recognize Aiwa's presence in the way life communicates without words. The clearest sign of this truth lies in the bond of Taihailu. When a Na'vi connects their cue to an animal, they are linking into Aiwa's nervous system through another being. The animal's mind and the Na'vi's mind touch, creating unity. This bond reveals that each creature already carries the connection within itself. The Na'vi only open the link that is already there. This is why they treat animals with respect. Even those they must kill for food, they are not separate beings. Predators show this just as much as companions. The great Thanatar, feared by many, still acts as a piece of Aiwa's body. Its aggression is not random cruelty, but part of balance, keeping populations in check and reminding the people that survival requires vigilance. Even the Banshee, whose wild nature makes it difficult to tame, is still tied into the same system. Its instincts are Aiwa's instincts, carried through wings and voice. When it chooses a rider, it is responding to something larger than itself, a recognition within Aiwa's design. The Tulkuns demonstrate this connection most clearly. These ocean dwellers do more than swim and feed. They think, compose songs, and remember centuries of events. Their intelligence makes them resemble the Na'vi, but the Na'vi see them as another expression of Aiwa's nervous system. When a Tulkun sings, it is not just speaking to its kin, it is sending a signal into the ocean, a pulse that Aiwa carries through the water and the reef. By listening to Tulkun songs, the Metkayina hear Aiwa's memory itself moving through sound. Even the smallest creatures play their role. Insects that light the forest, fish that guide currents, or seed carriers that drift on the wind are all signals, like sparks of electricity in a living brain. The Navi say Ewa does not waste even the tiniest being. Each one is a thread in her nervous system, carrying messages that keep balance in place. A sudden change in animal behavior, such as flocks moving all at once or herds charging together, is often read as Ewa speaking through her creatures, responding to threats or shifts in the world. For humans, this system is difficult to grasp. Scientists compare it to a planetary-scale brain, with synapses made of roots, rivers, and animal bonds. But the Navi know it as Ewa herself. The animals are not just inhabitants of Pandora. They are her senses, her reflexes, her expressions of thought. To ride, to hunt, or even to hear their calls is to witness Ewa's nervous system at work, alive in every creature that walks, swims, or flies. The humans who came to Pandora carried with them the scars of their home world. Earth was failing. Forests had been cut down, oceans poisoned, and air thick with smoke. The reason for this collapse was not only greed or war, but something deeper. Humanity had long ago broken its connection with the forces that once guided balance. On Earth, there was no Ewa to remind them of limits. The bond between people and nature was lost, and without that bond, the world grew sick. In the oldest parts of human history, there were signs of a different way. Many cultures honored the earth as a mother or treated rivers, forests, and animals as sacred. These beliefs worked like the Navi's bond with Ewa, holding people close to the systems that sustained them. But as time passed, humans built cities that blocked out the land. They relied on machines and industry, not on the rhythms of nature they took without giving back. Their food no longer came from balanced cycles, but from fields stripped bare and seas emptied of life. The silence of animals and the shrinking of forests showed the cost of this disconnection. On Pandora, the Navi never forgot this truth. They know every kill must be honored, every tree treated with respect. They believe Ewa lives in all things, and so they never act as though they are separate. Humans, in contrast, placed themselves above their world. They saw the earth as an object to control, not a living system to join. This mindset fueled their progress, but it also led them to drain their planet until little remained. The failure of Earth became clear when resources ran out. Wars were fought over water and fertile soil. Entire regions could no longer sustain life. People were forced to abandon the places their ancestors had lived for thousands of years. Even then, few turned back to the idea of connection. Instead, they searched outward, toward the stars, carrying the same disconnection that had destroyed their home. When humans came to Pandora, they repeated the same mistake. They saw unobtainium, not as part of Ewa's living body, but as a mineral to be mined. They saw forests, not as networks of life, but as obstacles to remove. The RDA's drills and bulldozers revealed how little they had learned. Unlike Earth, however, Pandora had Ewa. Her presence made sure balance could not be broken so easily. She pushed back through animals, storms, and the Navi themselves. On Earth, there was no such defense. The planet weakened in silence because its people no longer listened. Some Navi elders say that humans once had forces like Ewa guiding them, but turned away until they could no longer hear. Whether this is true or not, the result is clear. The humans' failure on Earth came from living as if they were separate from the web of life. Without connection, they stripped their world until nothing was left to sustain them. When they arrived on Pandora, they faced a living reminder of what had been lost. Kiri is unlike anyone else on Pandora, where most Navi must connect through the sacred trees to hear Ewa. Kiri can hear her voice at any moment. For the Navi, Ewa is always present, but she usually speaks through signs, through animals, or through the flow of balance in the world. With Kiri, the connection is immediate. She does not need ritual or ceremony. She feels Ewa as if the Great Spirit is beside her, speaking directly into her mind. This gift shows itself in ways that others cannot deny. Kiri often senses things before they happen. She knows when danger is near or when safety lies in a direction no one else considers. In the ocean, she called the creatures of the sea to protect her family, guiding them as though she were part of their thoughts. The Metkaina watched this with awe, for even they, with their deep bond to the water, could not command such unity. To them, it was proof that Kiri carried something beyond ordinary blood. Her difference has roots in her birth. She came into life from Grace Augustine's avatar body, a body that should not have produced a child at all. No father was known, no scientific process could explain it. Yet Kiri was born, and her life itself feels like Awa's deliberate act. If she began as Awa's creation, then her ability to hear Awa directly follows naturally. She is not only a daughter of Grace's body, but also a daughter of Awa's will. This ability sets her apart even among her family. Jake and Neytiri love her as their own, but they see her strangeness. Her siblings notice it too, sometimes with wonder and sometimes with worry. While they train, hunt, and test themselves as Navi youth, Kiri spends hours in silence, listening to whispers only she can hear. When she speaks of Iwa's voice, others are unsure how to respond. For the people, Iwa is always distant, guiding through signs, never through speech. To claim to hear her directly places Kiri in a space no one else shares. But her bond with Iwa is not without weight. The connection overwhelms her at times, sending her into fits when the network flows too strongly through her body. This makes her fragile in ways others are not. It shows that her gift is powerful but also dangerous, as if Iwa's voice is too great to rest in a single child. Yet Kiri endures it, and each moment of clarity deepens her role as a bridge between Iwa and the people. The Navi view her with reverence, though some with unease. They cannot dismiss the signs. Spirit seeds often gather around her. The glow of Pandora responds to her touch more quickly than to others. When she prays, the silence of the forest feels thicker, as if Iwa listens more closely. All of this marks her as chosen. In Kiri, Iwa does not speak through symbols or events. She speaks in her own voice, and only Kiri can hear her. Jake Sully became the leader of the Omaticaya because Iwa allowed him to walk the path that led there. He was not born Navi, yet he rose to stand as Toruk Makto, a figure of legend who could unite the clans in their time of greatest need. His courage and his choices gave the Navi hope when the RDA sought to destroy them. But even in this triumph, the Navi understand that leadership is never permanent. Awa does not choose one champion for all time. She prepares many, each suited for a different season in the life of her people. Jake's place as leader is strong, but it is also temporary. Awa is already shaping another, who will rise when his time ends. The Navi see their leaders not as rulers, but as servants of Awa's balance. When balance is broken, Awa raises someone to restore it. Jake was chosen because the danger came from outside, an invading force with weapons that could level forests and poison the land. His knowledge of both human and Navi worlds made him the right figure to stand between them. He could understand the enemy and guide the people. But in the future, the threat may not be the same. It may require a champion with different gifts. Awa will provide such a figure when the moment comes. Signs of this preparation are already present. Kiri, for example, carries a bond to Awa no other Navi shares. She hears Awa's voice directly, feeling her presence without the need for sacred trees or rituals. This ability suggests that Awa may be shaping her for a role larger than even Jake's. While Jake commands respect through strength and action, Kiri's connection is spiritual, rooted in the deep fabric of Awa's will. A future guided by her might move differently than the wars Jake has fought. focusing not on battles but on deeper unity. Jake himself knows this truth, even if he does not say it. He once lived as a soldier, trained to see leadership as command. Among the Na'vi, he has learned that leadership flows from Awa, not from personal desire. He has also seen the spirit seeds mark others, just as they once marked him. When they gather around a child, when the forest glows brighter in someone's presence, the signs are clear. Iwa's attention shifts, preparing another to rise. The Na'vi accept this without fear. To them, leadership is not lost when one champion steps aside. It transforms, moving to the one Iwa has chosen for what is to come. They believe Jake will guide them as long as Iwa wills it. But when his time ends, the new champion will already be ready. In their songs, this is the way balance has always been kept. A leader stands, serves, and then joins Awa, while another rises carrying the voice of the people and the will of the Great Spirit. Jake's leadership is part of this cycle, but it is not the final chapter. Awa is always preparing the next. The Tolkens of Pandora are more than massive creatures of the sea. Their size and strength make them awe-inspiring, but it is their minds that set them apart. Among the Metcaina, it is said that a Tolkien's intelligence rivals that of the Na'vi, and the evidence for this is clear in how they live, how they communicate, and how they remember. The Tolkiens compose songs that carry stories across generations. These are not simple calls or patterns of sound. They are complex works of memory, layered with meaning, much like the Na'vi's own songs of history. A young Metcaina who swims with a Tolkien can learn about events that happened 100 years before their birth. The Tolkien remember battles, migrations, and friendships, and they preserve them in a form of oral tradition that flows through the oceans. Their songs act as archives, passed from parent to calf with the same care the Na'vi give to their chants and rituals. The intelligence of the Tolkien also shows in their moral codes. They are not predators, though their size and strength would allow them to dominate the seas if they chose. They live with strict laws, such as refusing to kill. The Na'vi recognize this as a sign of higher reasoning, not instinct. To abstain from violence, despite the ability to wield it, reflects choice and culture, traits humans usually reserve for themselves. Among the Metcaina, a Tolkien bond is considered sacred because it joins two beings who both understand duty and ethics, not just survival. The depth of their communication further proves their intelligence. Tolkien speak with the Na'vi through Tasahailu, but they also exchange meaning without it. A tilt of the fin, a shift in the song, or a glance of their massive eyes can convey messages as clear as spoken words. When a Tolkien greets its Na'vi sibling, there is recognition that goes beyond animal instinct. It is dialogue between equals. Children of the sea clans grow up learning how to read these signs, treating their Tolkien not as pets or mounts, but as lifelong companions with thoughts of their own. Even grief shows their depth of mind. When hunters killed Tolkiens for their glands, the sea clans witnessed their mourning. The survivors sang songs of loss that carried across the water. They avoided areas where their kin had fallen, circling in patterns that resembled ritual. The Na'vi knew this was not chance behavior. It was memory and sorrow expressed in the way only intelligent beings can. To share grief is to show understanding of life's value, and the Tolkien carry that understanding as deeply as the Na'vi. Their choices in friendship also show intention. A Tolkien does not bond with just anyone. They select their Na'vi sibling carefully, forming a bond that lasts for life. This decision is not based on dominance, as with the Banshee of the Sky Clans, but on mutual respect. Once joined, the Tolkien and Na'vi share thoughts, emotions, and memory, creating a partnership that reflects equality. The Tolkien's intelligence is undeniable to those who swim beside them. They speak in songs, they hold to laws, they grieve their dead, and they choose their companions with care. In these ways, they mirror the Na'vi, proving that intelligence on Pandora is not the sole domain of one people, but part of Aiwa's greater design. Pandora's storms are more than shifts in wind and rain. To the Na'vi, they are signs of Aiwa's will, her way of shaping the land and sea to protect balance. When outsiders arrive with machines and weapons, the weather itself seems to rise against them. It is not random, it is defense. Aiwa influences Pandora's weather as one of her strongest tools to resist invaders. The RDA's history on Pandora offers examples of this pattern. Their machines rely on clear skies and steady ground, yet they often encounter floods, heavy rains, and sudden lightning storms that stall their progress. Aircraft crash under violent winds, and sea vessels vanish beneath sudden swells. To the Na'vi, these are not accidents of climate. They are Aiwa's response to intrusion. A machine built without respect for balance becomes powerless when the very air and water shift against it. The floating mountains themselves provide another layer of defense. They are suspended by magnetic currents, yet storms gather around them with unusual force. Pilots describe thick clouds, violent turbulence, and magnetic interference that disrupts instruments. The Na'vi believe Aiwa shapes these dangers to keep the sacred regions safe from easy passage. Few humans can enter without struggle, but the mountain banshees thrive there, bonded to the Na'vi who are welcomed by Aiwa's design. What appears as natural hazard to humans is seen by the people as Aiwa choosing who may pass. Even the oceans display this defensive instinct. When RDA whaling ships hunted tulkuns, storms would build without warning. Waves rose higher than the ships, scattering them, sometimes forcing them back to shore. The Metkayina say Aiwa listens to the songs of the tulkun, and when they cry in pain she calls the sea to answer. The storms that follow are her voice in the water, a reminder that no act of destruction goes unseen. The Navy notice smaller signs as well. During battles, rain often falls, blinding the machines and cooling the Na'vi's skin as they move through the forest. At times, lightning strikes near enemy positions, but spares the sacred groves. These events may look like coincidence to a human observer, but the Na'vi do not doubt their meaning. They see Aiwa's hand in every shift of wind, every break of cloud, and every drop of rain that falls when it is most needed. To understand this through human terms, one might compare Aiwa's control to the immune system of a body. Just as a body produces heat to fight illness, Pandora produces storms to repel those who would harm it. The invaders arrive with drills, missiles, and fire, but the planet itself answers with rain, floods, and winds that machines cannot master. For the Na'vi, this balance is simple truth. Aiwa is not passive. She defends her world, and the weather is one of her sharpest weapons. The avatars humans created were designed as tools. They were bodies grown in labs, built to look and move like the Na'vi but linked to human minds. At first, they were only shells, vessels for exploration and control. Yet time on Pandora has begun to change them. Some believe that avatar bodies may one day evolve into true Na'vi, shaped not by human science but by Aiwa and the planet itself. The difference between an avatar and a Na'vi lies in more than appearance. Avatars share the same height, the same 4 fingers, and many of the same features. But they are not born from Aiwa's cycle of life and death. They were created by machines. Their first purpose was to allow humans to walk in Na'vi form, to breathe the air, and to blend in. Despite this artificial origin, the moment an avatar lives and acts on Pandora, it becomes subject to Aiwa's balance. The longer it remains, the more it seems to shift toward the natural order of the planet. Jake Sully is the clearest example. His mind transferred permanently into his avatar body, and that body changed over time. It no longer feels like a tool connected to a human host. It carries Iwa's spark, sustained by the Tree of Souls. The Na'vi treat him as one of their own, not as an outsider in a borrowed form. His children with Neytiri prove that the line between Avatar and Na'vi is not fixed. They are living proof that Iwa can merge what science created with what she has always shaped. The process may go further in the generations to come. If Avatar-born Na'vi continue to live, grow, and have children, their bloodlines may shed the traces of human design. Their bodies could become indistinguishable from the people, with Awa weaving them fully into her web. What began as artificial may, over time, become natural. This would not be the first time Pandora reshaped life. The planet has always adapted creatures to fit its balance. If humans remain, their avatar descendants could be Awa's way of binding them into the larger whole. Consider how Tailu works in this context. An avatar body, though made by human hands, can still bond with animals and trees. It connects to Iwa's network like any Na'vi. This ability suggests that the design already carries something more than science. Awa allowed it. By granting avatars the capacity to bond, she opened the path for them to become part of her system. Over centuries, these connections may deepen until avatars are no longer hybrids, but true children of Pandora. The Na'vi themselves sometimes wonder about this. Some see avatars as outsiders who will never fully belong. Others see them as seeds Iwa has chosen to plant, a bridge that may grow into something lasting. The evidence points toward the second view, through Jake, through his children, and through the bonds avatar bodies form with Iwa's creatures. The possibility grows stronger. One day, the difference between a true Na'vi and an avatar may vanish, leaving only Awa's people, all shaped by her design. At night, Pandora glows, plants, animals, and even the ground itself shimmer with bioluminescence. To human eyes, this might appear as beauty, a feature of nature meant to inspire wonder to the Na'vi. It is more than light. It is a communication system, Iwa's way of sending signals through the living world. Every flicker, pulse, and shift in color carries meaning, part of a language older than the people themselves. The forest shows this most clearly. When Na'vi walk through the night, their steps awaken small bursts of light underfoot. This reaction is not only for beauty, it tells the forest where movement occurs. Much like nerves in a body responding to touch, the Na'vi know that Iwa uses these lights as a kind of awareness, registering changes and sharing them across the network of roots and plants. To move through the glowing forest is to speak with Iwa through presence alone. Animals also carry this language. The wood sprites or Atokirina drift with their glow as messengers of Iwa. The Na'vi treat their arrival as signs because their bioluminescent patterns are not random. They appear during moments of importance, often guiding choices or marking individuals. Larger creatures show similar traits. Thanators display glowing patterns along their bodies that shift when they prepare to attack, sending warnings through the forest. To other creatures and to the Na'vi, this light is as clear as spoken words. The ocean expands the system further. The Metcaina live among reefs that pulse with color. Coral shifts hues in response to touch. Fish gather in glowing schools that move as one, and the great tulkuns carry bioluminescent markings across their skin. These signals are not decoration. They are communication used for recognition, navigation, and even teaching. When tulkuns swim in groups, their markings flash in sequences that seem to echo songs, carrying both emotion and memory through light. The Na'vi have learnt to read these signals as carefully as others read tracks on the ground. Hunters use the glow of insects to find prey. Healers watch the colors of plants to know when they are ready for gathering. Children learn which lights signal safety and which warn of danger. To live on Pandora is to understand that bioluminescence is not passive. It is Iwa speaking through her creatures. Using light as language, even battle, has shown the power of this system. During moments of conflict, the forest often glows brighter, guiding the Na'vi along paths that seem to open just for them. To the invaders, this appears as coincidence, but to the people it is clear direction. The light is Iwa's way of guiding her children, ensuring they move where balance must be kept. For human science, the phenomenon may be explained by chemistry, by enzymes that produce light when triggered, but the pattern goes far beyond natural reaction. The synchronization, the timing, and the meaning behind it reveal design. To the Na'vi, the glow is Iwa's voice in visible form, a communication system that ensures all life on Pandora remains linked. Each pulse of light is a message, part of the planet's ongoing conversation with itself. The Na'vi shape their lives around ritual, and each of these acts flows in rhythm with the larger body of Pandora. They believe the planet itself has a heartbeat, a steady pulse carried through roots, rivers, and even the air. Their ceremonies, whether births, hunts, or funerals, are not separate human, like traditions, but align with this greater rhythm. When they gather, sing, or dance, they are joining Awa's pulse, making themselves one with the living system. This belief shows itself clearly in the rite of Tahilo. When a Na'vi links their cue with an animal or the sacred trees, they feel a surge that is more than connection. Many describe it as hearing the heartbeat of Pandora. It is steady and calming, a rhythm that reminds them that they are not separate. To join with another being is to feel a fraction of the world's heartbeat. The ceremonies at the Tree of Souls offer another example. The people kneel together, their cues linked into the glowing roots, and chant in unison. The sound of their voices builds into a deep thrum that mirrors the vibrations felt through the ground. Observers describe this rhythm as unmistakable. The earth itself seems to beat in time with the voices. The Na'vi explain that Iwa does not simply hear their prayers. She draws them into her heartbeat. Their ritual is not performance, but synchronization, a joining of flesh and spirit with the larger body of Pandora. Even dances reflect this truth. Hunters preparing for a journey stamp their feet in patterns that mimic the pace of animals. Ceremonial dances at night circle around fires in steady pulses, the drumming aligning with the glowing waves of the forest floor. To an outsider, these movements may appear as art, but for the Na'vi, they are resonance. By moving in step with the rhythm around them, they remind themselves that every choice must align with the planet's natural flow. The heartbeat is not metaphor alone. Human scientists studying the root networks found electrical impulses traveling through the ground in repeating cycles. These pulses resemble brain waves or heart rhythms, measured in consistent patterns. To the Na'vi, this discovery only confirmed what they already knew. Iwa's heartbeat is real, carried through every living thing. Their rituals are simply ways of listening, adjusting, and joining in. This alignment carries into daily life. A Na'vi hunter does not draw a bow at random, but waits until the world feels right, often pausing as if sensing the beat beneath their feet. A healer grinding herbs will chant softly, matching the rhythm of their hands to the sounds of insects and flowing water. These small acts mirror the larger ceremonies, reinforcing that life works best when it moves with Iwa's heartbeat. The Na'vi see imbalance as the result of losing touch with this rhythm. Invaders who cut forests or blast mountains move with no awareness of it, forcing their own pace on a world they do not hear. By contrast, every Na'vi ritual, whether sacred or simple, is built to restore alignment with that pulse. In this way, the Na'vi keep harmony not by thought alone, but by living in rhythm with the heartbeat of Pandora itself. The RDA came to Pandora, with machines built to dominate. They brought mining drills, aircraft, and armored walkers, all designed to impose control over the land. To human engineers, this technology represents progress and strength. But on Pandora, progress measured in machines means little. The Na'vi understand that Iwa does not allow what stands outside her balance to last. Technology that ignores the living network of the planet will eventually fail because Pandora rejects it. Examples of this rejection have already appeared. The great bulldozers that tore through the forests faced not only the Na'vi's resistance, but also the land itself. Vines grew quickly over broken metal, roots pressed up from the soil to crack through reinforced paths. Even when the machines cleared ground, the jungle reclaimed it in days, covering steel and concrete in living green. What humans saw as maintenance problems, the Na'vi understood as Pandora's immune system working. Just as a body rejects a foreign object, the planet rejects technology that is out of place. The sky offers another example. The RDA's aircraft depend on stable air and precise instruments, yet the atmosphere around Pandora is unpredictable. Storms rise suddenly, winds shift without warning, magnetic currents near the floating mountains disrupt sensors and throw off navigation. What human pilots call environmental hazard, the Na'vi see as Iwa refusing intrusion. The Banshees, shaped to move with these currents, glide with ease, while human aircraft struggle. The message is clear. Machines not born of Pandora cannot endure her skies. The ocean resists in its own way. When the RDA hunted Tulkuns, their ships seemed powerful at first. But storms broke their formations, waves rolled over decks, and salt water corroded their engines faster than expected. The Metkayina believed Awa herself sent the sea to fight back. Whatever the cause, the result was the same. The more the RDA pressed, the more the ocean swallowed their efforts. No machine, no matter how advanced, could outlast the will of the tides. Even small signs reinforce this truth. Sensors malfunction near sacred sites. Mining rigs sink into soft ground, as if the earth beneath them refuses to hold their weight. Communication systems cut out in areas where the root networks run thickest. These failures cannot be explained only by poor planning. They point to a deeper resistance. Pandora does not welcome machines that take without giving, that disrupt without healing. Human engineers might insist they can adapt, but history shows otherwise. Every advance they bring, whether heavier armor, stronger engines, or sharper tools, meets the same end. Time and again, the world reclaims what is foreign. The Na'vi know this, not as chance, but as Iwa's will. Technology that refuses to respect balance cannot survive long on Pandora. It breaks, it rusts, it vanishes into the soil and sea, leaving the planet whole once more. Jake Sully may lead the Amaticaya now, but his children are already being shaped for paths of their own. Among the Na'vi, it is rare for all of a leader's children to remain within one clan. Iwa guides each life with purpose, and balance often demands that gifts be spread across the land. Jake's children carry both Na'vi heritage and the unusual bloodline that ties them to avatars and humans. This makes them unique, and many believe they are destined to lead separate clans across Pandora. The eldest, Netiam, carried himself with the weight of responsibility from a young age. He trained harder than his siblings, showing skill in combat and discipline in following his father's guidance. Had he lived, it is likely he would have become a leader in his own right, either within the Amaticaya or among a neighboring clan in need of strength. His sense of duty marked him as someone Iwa had prepared for command. Though his death cut short that path, his legacy shapes how others see his brothers and sisters. Loak stands in contrast, reckless and headstrong. He often defies Jake's commands, yet his bond with Payakan, the outcast Tulkun, shows qualities that go deeper than stubbornness. Loak is drawn to those who are overlooked or rejected. and he finds strength in forming ties others would avoid. This gift makes him suited to lead, not by authority, but by loyalty, gathering those who have no place elsewhere. Many see in him the seed of a future leader who might guide a clan shaped from the margins, a people who carry resilience as their strength. Kiri's destiny is even more distinct. She is Iwa's child, as much as she is Grace Augustine's daughter. Her ability to hear Awa's voice directly sets her apart from all others. She is not likely to remain bound only to the Amaticaya. Her role may draw her to spiritual leadership that transcends clan borders, guiding many people through wisdom rather than rule. Some whisper she may one day serve as a high priestess or shaman figure for multiple clans, carrying Iwa's voice across Pandora too. The youngest is still a child. Yet her curiosity and openness suggest another path. She shows no fear of the unfamiliar, whether it is meeting new clans or adapting to new lands. As she grows, this trait could make her a bridge between groups that have long remained separate. In her, Iwa may be shaping a leader who unites through kindness and patience rather than power. The Na'vi understand that Iwa rarely allows a single line of leadership to remain fixed. Balance demands that influence spread, especially in times of change. Jake's children, each marked with different traits, reflect this truth. Their futures lie not in the shadow of one clan, but in the wider expanse of Pandora, where each may carry responsibility for a different people, ensuring Iwa's harmony across the land. For the Na'vi, death is not an ending. They believe Iwa gathers every spirit into her vast network, holding memory and essence within the living body of Pandora. But Iwa's care does not stop at preservation. She allows rebirth, sending fragments of spirits back into newborn Na'vi. This cycle ensures that nothing is lost, and that the wisdom of the past continues within the lives of the present. Elders speak of children who display knowledge they could not have learned. A young hunter might know instinctively how to track an animal, even before being taught. A child may sing an old song perfectly on their first try, or repeat words spoken by an ancestor long ago. To the Na'vi, these are signs that Iwa has allowed part of a spirit to return. It is not always a full life reborn, but a spark, a thread woven into a new body to continue its journey. The rituals of naming reflect this belief. When a child is born, the clan gathers at the Tree of Voices or another sacred place. The mother and father present the child, and the people connect with Iwa, seeking signs. Sometimes a glow surrounds the infant, or spirit seeds gather in unusual numbers. These moments are understood as Iwa revealing that a spirit has returned. The name chosen may honor the ancestor believed to live again through the child, not as a copy, but as a continuation of a path. The Na'vi do not see this as possession. The child is always their own person, with choices and growth ahead of them, but they carry pieces of what came before. A skilled warrior's courage may live on in a son or daughter. A healer's patience may reappear in a grandchild. In this way, Iwa threads qualities across generations, keeping the people whole. Each life is new, but it is also tied to the many lives that came before it. For the Na'vi, this belief changes how they view death. Grief is real, but it is softened by trust that the spirit will return in time. The people know that those they love are not lost but waiting to be reborn. It also changes how they treat children. A child is respected not only for who they are, but for the spirit they might carry. To guide a child well is to honor both the new life and the old one living within them. Human scientists try to frame this idea through genetics or memory stored in neural links. They search for explanations in biology, yet even they struggle to explain why some children demonstrate skills without teaching or knowledge without exposure. For the Na'vi, there is no confusion. It is Iwa's rebirth, her way of recycling spirits through newborn Navi, so the people never lose what they need to survive. The clan remains connected across centuries. Each birth, a return of something treasured. Each child proof that Iwa keeps balance through the cycle of life. The surface of Pandora shows beauty beyond measure. Floating mountains, glowing forests, and endless skies capture the attention of anyone who sees them. But the Na'vi know that what lies beneath the ocean holds mysteries far greater. The seas of Pandora are vast, deeper than any human survey has fully charted. The Metkaina say that even they, with generations of knowledge, have only touched the edges of what Ewa has hidden in the depths. The shallow reefs are alive with creatures of every colour, but below them the water grows dark. In these places, light from the surface fades and the glow of bioluminescent animals takes over. The Na'vi believe this realm mirrors the night sky, with points of living light floating in the black. Some say that the ocean's depths are Ewa's most secret places, where her energy flows in silence. Hunters speak of hearing vibrations through the water, pulses like a heartbeat echoing from below. They treat these sounds as messages, though few dare to follow them down. Tulkuns provide glimpses of what lies deeper. These massive beings dive for long periods, travelling into trenches no Na'vi has reached. When they return, their songs sometimes change. They add verses that tell of enormous shapes moving in the dark, or landscapes where glowing pillars rise from the ocean floor. The Metkaina treat these songs as evidence of worlds within their own world, unexplored and waiting. They do not send expeditions lightly, believing that Ewa reveals the deep only when the time is right. Human machines have tried to map the ocean, but their technology fails. Pressure crushes their vessels, and strange signals disrupt their readings. What little data they collect shows anomalies, heat rising where it should not, or shapes larger than anything on record. For scientists, these are problems to solve. For the Na'vi, they are signs that the ocean is alive and unwilling to give up its secrets. Just as the forest resists human intrusion, the sea guards its mysteries with currents, storms, and pressure that no outsider can endure. Stories passed among the Metkaina describe creatures no surface dweller has seen. Some speak of leviathans larger than tulkuns, moving slowly through the trenches. Others tell of glowing gardens hidden below, where Ewa's light burns brightest, unreachable to most. Whether these are myth or truth is not clear, but to the people, they are reminders that the sea is not to be treated as conquered space. It is a realm of its own, equal in wonder to the sky and the forest. Children of the Metkaina are taught respect for the depths. They learn that to dive too far without purpose is to risk angering Ewa. For the ocean's secrets are not meant to be taken by force. What lies below will reveal itself only when balance requires it. Until then, the Na'vi live knowing their world is larger than they can see. The ocean depths hold Ewa's hidden designs, mysteries that wait in silence beneath the waves. On Pandora, humans find themselves in a struggle, not only with the Na'vi but with Ewa herself. The planet responds to their presence in ways that seem deliberate. Storms rise against their ships, animals gather to repel their machines, and the very land resists their attempts to control it. To the Na'vi, these are not coincidences. They believe Ewa is testing humanity's ability to reconnect with nature, forcing them to decide whether they will remain as they were on Earth or learn to live in balance once more. Human history shows why this test matters. On Earth, people once honored rivers, forests, and animals with respect. Many cultures treated the land as sacred, believing spirits lived in trees, mountains, and oceans. Over time, these beliefs faded, replaced by machines and industry. Humanity took from the earth without giving back, and their world weakened until it could no longer sustain them. By the time the RDA turned to Pandora, the connection was gone. They came not as children of a living planet, but as conquerors seeking resources. Iwa does not allow such disconnection without response. Every act of violence against Pandora is met with resistance. When bulldozers flatten the forest, roots crack their machines. When whalers kill tulkuns, storms scatter their ships. This is more than defense. It is trial. Iwa is showing humanity that their old ways cannot survive here. If they wish to endure, they must prove they can listen, respect, and take their place in the web of life. Jake Sully's journey is an example of this test. As a human, he began with the same mindset as the RDA. He followed orders and used his avatar as a tool. But Iwa drew him into her balance, showing him through Tsai Halu, through the bond with the Banshee, and through the Tree of Souls that life is not conquered but shared. Jake passed the test by surrendering the illusion of control and choosing to live within Iwa's order. His story shows the path humanity could take if they are willing. Kiri represents another form of this test. Born from Grace's avatar body, she carries both human and Na'vi origins. Her gift of hearing Iwa directly is not only a blessing, but also a challenge. Through her, Iwa asks whether humanity can produce children who belong to nature rather than to machines. If Kiri thrives, it proves that Iwa allows humanity a place in her design, if they can let go of their old disconnection. For most humans on Pandora, the test is ongoing. Those who cling to extraction and greed find themselves pushed back at every turn. Those who begin to learn the Na'vi ways see doors open. Iwa does not reject them outright. She challenges them, waiting to see if they will reconnect with what they once knew on Earth. That survival depends not on domination, but on harmony with the living world. The Na'vi see themselves as protectors of Pandora, but their role may reach further than even they realize. Iwa is not only the spirit of one world. Some elders believe she is part of a larger order, a network of world. Spirits spread across the stars. If this is true, then the Na'vi are guardians not just of their home, but of Iwa's galactic plan. Their lives, rituals, and struggles may serve a purpose that connects to other planets beyond their sky. On Pandora, the Na'vi's duty is clear. They maintain balance with the forest, the oceans, and the skies. They hunt only what they need, they honor the dead, and they give back to Iwa in prayer and ritual. This role keeps Pandora alive, but it also trains them for something larger. By living in harmony with Iwa's design, they become stewards of her will. They are examples of how intelligent beings can exist without destroying their world. To Iwa, this guardianship is not just local. It is a model for survival in the greater web of life. Stories passed among the clans speak of voices from beyond. Some Na'vi shamans claim they have heard echoes in their communion with Iwa that do not belong to their ancestors. They describe distant pulses, like signals from other worlds, faint but present. If Iwa connects across the galaxy, then the Na'vi are not only preserving Pandora, they are holding their place in a network of worlds, each with its own spirit and people. Their duty becomes not only to protect what they see, but to ensure the strength of something they cannot fully imagine. The war with the RDA shows why this guardianship matters. Humans came with no respect for Iwa or for balance. Their destruction of Earth proved what happens when beings sever their bond with their living spirit. If the Na'vi failed to resist, Pandora could suffer the same fate. But more than that, a failure on Pandora could weaken Iwa's larger plan. One voice in the galactic song would fall silent, and the harmony of all worlds would be shaken. This is why the Na'vi fight with such resolve. They believe their struggle carries weight beyond their borders. The role of Iwa's chosen children deepens this idea. Figures like Kiri may serve as bridges not only between human and Na'vi, but between worlds. Her ability to hear Iwa directly suggests that Iwa is preparing messengers who can carry knowledge of her will beyond Pandora. If one day other peoples encounter the Na'vi, it will be through such chosen ones that Iwa's plan becomes clear. The Na'vi's guardianship is therefore layered. On the surface, they protect their lands and seas. In truth, they may be safeguarding a portion of Iwa's galactic design, ensuring that her network remains whole. Every ritual, every battle, every song holds meaning not only for Pandora, but for the larger living order of which they are a part. When humans first stepped into avatar bodies, they thought of them as tools. These bodies were grown in labs, linked to human minds by machines, and designed only to serve. Yet the rituals of the Na'vi and the will of Iwa changed this. In rare cases, a human has merged fully with their avatar, crossing a threshold that science cannot explain. The Na'vi believe that when this happens, the human no longer faces death as others do. They live on in Iwa, not as fleeting visitors, but as part of the eternal network of Pandora. Jake Sully's story is the clearest example. His human body was broken and weak, but his avatar was whole. At the Tree of Souls, the Na'vi performed the ritual that allowed his spirit to pass fully into that body. For him, there was no return to the human shell. He became Na'vi in truth, and Iwa accepted his life as her own. In that moment, Jake crossed into a different kind of existence. His body could still be harmed, but his spirit was bound permanently to Iwa. Should he fall, the Na'vi believe his essence will remain in her web, never fading. This merging is not simple transfer. It is transformation. A human mind, brought into an avatar, does not stay as it was. Over time, it shifts, adapting to Pandora's rhythms. Memories of the past remain, but the bond with Iwa grows stronger. This is why Jake's children are possible. His life is no longer divided between human and Na'vi. He became part of Iwa's cycle, able to continue as if born to Pandora. His story proves that Iwa allows not only survival, but a form of rebirth for those who surrender fully. Others have sought this merging, but not all succeed. Grace Augustine tried at the end of her life. The Na'vi brought her to the Tree of Souls, and her spirit was offered to Iwa. Though her body died, many believe her essence remained within Pandora, alive in a different form. Kiri's birth from Grace's avatar body is taken as evidence. She is more than a child. She is Iwa's way of showing that a life once human can still continue through new vessels. This possibility changes how the Na'vi view some humans. Those who cling to machines and weapons are outsiders, destined to fade. But those who surrender to Iwa's will may escape that fate. They may live on. Not in the sense of endless flesh, but in Iwa's eternal cycle. To the Na'vi, this is not fantasy, they have seen it. Spirit seeds gather around those marked for merging, guiding them to the sacred places. Iwa chooses who will stay. In this way, death for a human who merges is not an end. It is continuation. Their spirit is absorbed into Iwa's memory. Their body becomes part of Pandora, and their voice may be heard again through the trees. For the Na'vi, these humans are no longer strangers. They are part of Iwa forever, living on in the same cycle that holds all life. From the beginning, the struggle between humans and Na'vi has been shaped by difference. One came from a dying Earth, armed with machines and weapons. The other grew with Pandora, bound to Iwa through rituals, bonds, and memory. At first, these two paths seemed impossible to join, yet beneath the conflict runs a deeper truth. Iwa does not simply destroy or divide, she seeks balance. The saga of Pandora is moving toward an end where Iwa will bridge humans and Na'vi into one people, joined not by conquest but by shared connection. Signs of this union are already clear. Jake Sully embodies the possibility, having crossed from human into Na'vi life. Through Awa's will, he left behind his frail human body and became one with the people, not as an outsider, but as a true Navi. His children carry both human and Navi blood, proof that the two can join not only in spirit, but in flesh. Their existence shows that Iwa is already weaving both peoples together, preparing a future where separation will no longer define them. Kiri represents another step in this process. Born from Grace Augustine's avatar, she has no human father, yet she carries something greater. Her ability to hear Iwa's voice directly sets her apart from every other Navis. She is both child of human science and child of Awa's will, a bridge in her very being. Her role points toward what the future may hold, a people who carry the strengths of both origins while living fully within Awa's balance. Even the conflict with the RDA serves this greater plan. The violence they bring forces the Navi to grow stronger, to unite clans that once lived apart, and to consider futures beyond their own borders. At the same time, individuals among the humans face choices. Some remain blind to Iwa's presence, clinging to machines and domination. Others, like Norm and Spider, learn to live closer to the Navi way, slowly shedding the mindset that once severed humanity from nature. Iwa uses struggle as trial, sorting those who can change from those who cannot. Over time, the divisions between the two groups begin to weaken. Children like Loic, who finds kinship with the outcast Tolkien, show that identity is no longer bound to origin alone. Bonds are being formed that are stronger than blood or tradition. A child raised among the Navi may learn their ways so deeply that the line between human and Navi disappears. In this way, Awa's plan unfolds quietly, not only in battles, but in families, friendships and bonds that endure. The Navi see themselves as guardians of Pandora, but Awa may be shaping them into guardians of something larger. By joining humans and Navi into one people, she ensures that the mistakes of Earth are not repeated, and that the wisdom of Pandora can guide more than one species. The saga is moving toward this point, where human resilience and Navi harmony combine. The end will not be a victory of one over the other, but Awa's final weaving of both into a single people, joined in the balance of her living web.